Welcome to Conversations with Healers, a podcast and video interview series that features intimate, soulful, and cozy conversations with self-healers and healers. Healer to healer, we dive into all aspects of self-healing and healing, and being and becoming a healer. I am Damla. I am a healer and the host of this podcast, and I can't wait for you to listen to this conversation. If you are new to this podcast, please take a moment to subscribe so that you can be aware of new episodes. I also invite you to visit adropofom.com, adropofom.com, where I share a lot of free resources for self-healing and healing, and you can take a free quiz to find out what your energetic wounds are and how they may show up in your life. Discovering what your wounds are is the first step in healing them. I hope you enjoy this episode. There is one more thing I would like to share with you before you listen to this episode. I created a wonderful container to help you heal your energetic wounds and activate the infinite light and potential of your inner children. It is a crystal energy healing membership called Chakra Bliss Vault. Every month you will receive 3 new crystal healing sessions. Plus, you'll immediately have access to my entire energy healing recording library when you sign up. The membership is really affordable and will continue to be so. You can find out more about it at adropofom.com, adropofom.com. I invite you to make healing your energetic wounds and connecting with your inner children a priority and invest in your well-being by becoming a Chakra Bliss Vault member. Hello everyone, this is Damla with A Drop of Om, and I'm so excited today to talk to Patricia Lohan. And Patricia is a Feng Shui expert, manifesting magnet, alchemist, healer, Irish Celtic shaman, creator of the PowerHour Feng Shui, and author of The Happy Home. Thank you, Patricia, for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. And I just love the name of your podcast, A Drop of Om. I have my Om on my neck, my Om symbol on my neck since since I was in India a very long time ago, and it changed my life. So I love chanting an Om.
Yeah.
So
Om is everything and in everything. So I would love to hear your story of how you came to be doing what you're doing and what motivated you really to do what you do now.
Yeah, for sure. So you might hear from my accent, I'm from Ireland. I'm from the west coast of Ireland. And when I was a teenager, I don't know how, but I heard about Feng Shui. My family had moved into a new home. We'd upgraded and bought a beautiful house in the best area and completely renovated it. It was stunning. You know, my friends used to come and go, "You live here?" And soon after we moved in, lots of things started to go awry, like really very lot of difficulties in health, in relationships, in loads of legal things, loads of different things started to happen. And you know, at that time, you know, my soul knew there was something off, like seriously off. But and I came across Feng Shui. I didn't really realize that I was being guided to it, but I knew it, at the minute I started reading those books that I asked for, I was like, this is it, it's the house. And I started doing things around the house. I made my parents hire a consultant. It just struck me in the depths of me that I 100% was like, this is it. And I feel like I was in a Feng Shui master in many past lives, because it came to me so naturally. But I didn't kind of lead with Feng Shui for a very long time. Like I kept, that was like my first kind of foray into it. And then fast forward into my late 20s, I ended up quitting my job, letting go of absolutely everything and moving to India, where I, out of the blue said, I'm going to become a yoga teacher. I used to go to one class a week, and all of a sudden I'm going to India. I was there for a month. I thought I ended up there for over a year. And that's really where I had a huge, massive, like a huge, awakening. And I changed my life by changing my environment, and that then led to me training in lots of different modalities. So I was like not even trained, but able to read oracle cards for people. I was channeling, teaching yoga, trained in sound healing, crystals, it was just, it all just came at me at this time. And I ended up moving back to Ireland with all these singing bowls, starting up a sound healing business and working with people with kinesiology and Reiki and sound healing and all these modalities. And I loved it. And I honestly only had one thing that I wanted to use Feng Shui for at the time, was to call in love. So I decided to Feng Shui my house for love, my new apartment. And when I Feng Shuied it, I very soon afterwards met my husband. So this was just doing like basic Feng Shui. And of course, my now husband, Ken, and when I got to his house, I was like, he's Feng Shuied this place too. And I love it. Like when Ken first talked to my astrologer at the time, Ken was like, not like we were in the relationship, but he was like, oh, what's the story with the relationship? And he just said one line, it's kismet. It's kismet. You don't need any questions. Like, don't even question it. This is it. So, and we are very, very much aligned in so many ways that when I said I want to dive deeper to Feng Shui our home and train to be a consultant, Ken turned around and said, I want to do it too. So we both went off and trained together, Feng Shuied our own home. And, at the time I was teaching yoga classes for €5 a class. I was doing, sound healing. I was happy out. I wasn't looking for a new career direction. It just came into my life again. So I redid our house. We ended up getting a 6-figure windfall with loads of just so much amazing things like media and just Ken's business, career, things all just started to take off. Everyone in our world were like, what just happened to you two? Like, what happened? We're like, well, we did that Feng Shui course. So we Feng Shuied our house. And what really struck me with this, and I don't know, when I was coming in the car, coming to talk to you about for the podcast, this line came into my head, and it's like one of my favorite quotes by Carl Jung, until you make the unconscious conscious, and it'll dictate your fate, and you'll call it destiny. And the thing is, what I find and what happened to me was I had clients coming to me doing amazing inner work. They were doing the Qigong and the affirmations and seeing the healers, and they'd been to the astrologer, and they still weren't getting this kind of like, they weren't flourishing the way that I wanted to see them. And it was like frustrating, and then I started asking them about their houses. Like, tell me about your house. What's going on? Like, how long have you lived there? What's your bedroom? And all of a sudden they were like, come to check my house. And I just used to walk in and be like, this is it. Like, you're doing all this work internally, raising your own vibration, but your house is staying the same. And it's completely unconscious. Like, it's an unconscious manifestation of your past self. So it's totally not in resonance, and it's holding you back because it's such a dense physical manifestation. And that really was what struck me so hard, was that, we when we're called into this healing world, we know the tools, we know that things work, but and oftentimes we overlook the physical environment. So I ended up coming full circle around and saying, well, let's start with your home, make the changes to the physical environment. And that's when I started to see absolutely amazing results, especially for women who were already on the path, because they've been doing a lot of clearing of the gunk and getting onto their path, but they hadn't lined their home up to support them with it. So yeah, it's a full circle back to the Feng Shui.
Yes. Beautiful. So much there. I love that you went back to that, making the unconscious conscious. That's one of my favorites too. And one thing you said is sort of ringing in my ear. You said, I changed my life by changing my environment.
Mm-hmm.
That's very profound. I want to ask you about the concept of home,
Mm-hmm.
because to me, there's similarities in I do inner child healing. I help people with energetic wounds. What I find in my work is when someone's talking about their home, they're talking about their body and themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I often found, I even had this particular client who couldn't access her body due to trauma, but we ended up working on, like, in her mind, going through the rooms of her home. And I pointed out to her, like there was this one room she wanted to organize, but she never got to it. And I was like, yes, that's the change you desire, or whatever. So what I'm wanting to know from you is, how do you find that parallel? Like, how does the energy of the home carry into you and vice versa? You also said something profound, I think, as you were talking about your story. You said the unconscious manifestations of your past self show up in your home. So
Mm-hmm.
how does that exactly work? Like, how do we, even without knowing, bring our wounds out into our environment?
Yeah. So the first question and the first kind of point around this idea about home, well, so, and I'm so glad you're an astrologer and an astrologer in practice. So when we work with Feng Shui, it is acupuncture for your home. So when you're home, when you have, what I believe and what I've seen is when someone kind of attracts their home, it's a match. It's a match for who you are, and it's at resonance with the energetics of your beliefs around money, around health, around career, around all of those aspects. So it's a match. So essentially what happens is when you move into that house, the conscious and unconscious things will start to unfold. So when we look at someone's home, we look at a lot of different angles. And it's the same as doing a natal chart for a Feng Shui, for a person. We actually do a natal chart for a house, and we can see what's going to be in balance and out of balance in terms of the 9 areas. So on your astrology chart, you're looking at the 9, at the 12 horoscopes, and you're looking at the different houses and all of that. In our Feng Shui, we're looking at the 9 areas of the life, and we're seeing that these certain imbalances can create certain things happening in someone's life. So it could be health concerns or financial issues, but typically it's a match for that person with whatever their wounds are or their issues are. So it will manifest in that way. And the good and the bad, so it's not all bad. It's like there's some parts, if someone has a really high, I wasn't surprised. I was working with like one of Bob Proctor's like amazing top coaches recently. Her house is good for money, because she's done all the work about the money, like of course I was like, no surprise. And it's even better because this remedy is here and this. I was like, of course, so it's a match. But on other areas, it may be a match for that more unconscious thing.
Oh, I love that. So what I'm hearing you say is similar to what I see, because for me, the body is the home of the soul.
Mm-hmm.
What I see,
Yeah.
the different chakras, like I might see a little bit like ickiness in the 3rd chakra or whatever. You're saying when you enter into someone's home, you're like, this part of the home that corresponds to this life area is out of whack, and let's do this new look at that area.
And it's not necessarily, just in terms of clarifications, it's not about a new look to the area. Like, it's not about aesthetics. And this is what Feng Shui is often, how it's misconceived, especially in the West, around it's going to be like, oh, you're going to come tell me to renovate and redecorate it. What it's about is about energetic alignment, and it works with the 5 elements. So it's the Chinese traditional Chinese medicine, where we're working with the 5 elements. And what it's about is bringing that area into balance. So it is, whether it's a fire element, water element, metal element, the wood element, earth, that needs to go into that area, that then balances that part. And what happens is that inherently, as you balance that area of your home, it's going to mirror and bring up and balance that area of your life. So what we're ultimately doing is tapping your house into the Tao, because when the house is completely, when all of the 9 elements are in place and balanced, and the home is in harmony, it is then resonating with this higher frequency and tapped up into that yin and yang symbol and that Tao, where we're just in the flow with life.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. That actually makes a lot of sense. What I'm wanting to understand and help our listeners understand is, let's say you as a Feng Shui expert, or you teach someone to do this, you, like you say, work with the elements of that one area and you bring them into harmony and alignment. How does that then affect the person? Like, is that, I mean, when you think about it, it's like, put this thing here, do this, do that, and then it magically, let's say you're working with the abundance part of your home, and then suddenly things open up. So, and I have a theory about that, but I'd love to hear your perspective of like how and why this is happening, this magical.
Yes. So it's alchemy. It's pure alchemy. Sometimes it doesn't make sense, but we have seen it time and time again. Like when we first saw the results for ourselves, we were like, wow, that could be just a fluke. But now I've thousands of clients. So I'm like, it's not just a fluke. It's like, the house is like, houses, when they are born, they have a certain, and I think this is part of it, like with a natal chart, when someone is born, they're born with these direct kind of personality, traits, or these aspects. And when we start bringing the Feng Shui in, or, for me personally, I believe from my experience with astrology, is that you can grow to outshine, not to outshine the negative parts, like to actually, the whole idea is to use it to your, I can't think of the word now, but to use it to your benefit, that you're like, oh, okay, I'm going through this transit or this aspect of me, and how can I really make the most out of it and use that to help me. It's the same with the house, that when we put the elements in, it balances it, and it just kind of helps this flow. It just like taps that flow in. And yeah, we've just seen it do it, their clients are getting like windfalls, or their husbands get a new job, or unexpected pay rises happen. It just unfolds like that. And these houses I feel like the house is built in this energy, and then we can just change it.
It's interesting you're making parallels to astrology. I'll get there, but I just want to share my understanding of it, which is, it seems to me that in your work, the home is seen as this energetic being.
Yeah.
That represents you. There's this home is a separate energetic entity. You're a separate energetic entity. But once you start to be together, some sort of synergy happens. And it also seems to me that as you're working with certain areas, they almost act as portals. Similar to chakras. It's like a portal into not just the physical energy, but the quantum and energetic realm of what that represents, and they all work together.
Yeah, for sure. I absolutely love that about the idea of the portals. And, I do get my clients to connect with the soul of their home. We actually connect the chakras with each of the 9 areas, and we do a lot of work with our clients in terms of the in our community, in terms of their own personal energy. So the intentions and the vision and the connection, what their bigger vision is. So it's almost like it's the merging of like, well, this is my vision for my life. here's for this area of my life, whether it's abundance or my career or my family, and setting up that energy, like telling it, it's like, this is what we're looking, this is my intention, this is how I want to feel. And when you start to create that energy, it just, yeah, it starts to unfold, and it's a co-creation between the personal energy and the home's energy to create this life of more flow and ease and joy.
Okay. So as I was getting ready for your interview today, like an hour ago, I'm just scrolling through and I came across an Edgar Cayce quote that I'm going to read. Because, and then I came across an Abraham Hicks quote again about what we're going to talk about, but let's start with this. So Edgar Cayce, if anybody doesn't know, they called him the sleeping prophet. He was this intuitive psychic person, did a ton of readings, which were documented. But anyways, he says, make your life the well-rounded life, preparing yourself for the home rather than for a career. For the greatest career of any individual is to make a home in such a measure or manner that each occupant, including visitors, is better for having known and come into contact with the individual. I noticed that he doesn't say having come into contact with the home. It's almost like the individual and the home are the same. And it's like in doing this, what you're calling this harmonizing, it's not only healing for you, but it could be also healing for anyone who comes into your home.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that or your experiences?
Yeah, for sure. So I actually just spoke to a client recently, Helen, and she was telling me that she'd moved into her new home and she'd been doing the Feng Shui. And then her neighbor was doing some renovations. So the neighbor ended up moving in for a while. And the neighbor saw all these amazing things start to happen. And I was like, she was like, I know it's because she was in here in this house. And I just thought we were just laughing because we were like, the idea for me is that with this and what I've seen time and time again is that, you know, it's often the like the matriarch, the woman of the house who comes in and embraces this idea of the Feng Shui and starts to do the balance and harmony. And then it's this ripple. And as I say to the women in my community, I'm like, you're the thermometer for the home. Like if you're happy, if you're feeling good, if your home is supporting you, everybody else is going to feel it, you know? And we used to laugh because when my mom used to come visit me in my house, and we've subsequently feng shuied her place, but she used to come to us and she used to just sit down and go, oh. And she'd come and she'd just like fall asleep or relax. She totally was a different person. And this is what we saw. I've had it like years and years ago when we first started doing the feng shui. Our house was we did B&B, and we'd have like people come stay, you know, and we're in a beautiful scenic part of Ireland. And these guests, I remember coming, and they were like completely miffed that they had the best night's sleep. And they're like, we normally, like, our house is nice, it's a nice home, but it wasn't like a 5-star hotel. They're like, oh, we normally stay in like 5-star hotels. Like they drove in this really flash car and like, oh, really wealthy. And we were like, oh yeah. And they're like, that's the best night's sleep I've had in years. And I was like, oh, amazing. They're like, can we stay another night? I was like, of course you can. So we've seen it in so many different ways. And that's the thing for me with this work. It's like, it's not about your house looking different. It's about everybody feeling different, feeling better. Like you walk in and you feel good. This is your sanctuary. Like has to be the place that's going to support you and hold space for you in your dreams.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to do a little mini reading for you from your thank you for sharing that. And because it relates to what exactly we're talking about, your Venus, your feminine beauty and aesthetic being in Virgo is very poignant to me. And of course, you're in Greece right now. Goddess Hestia comes to mind, the goddess of hearth and home, of making the home, just like you say, not necessarily like magazine worthy, but something that's energetically comfortable and energetically beautiful. So your Venus being in Virgo to me speaks to that. And it was interesting to me because you have the same kind of chart that I have, which is a metamorphic chart, and which means almost all of your planets are up, and then there's that one planet, your Chiron, down. They're like pulling everything down, and Chiron, which we in the type of astrology I study, the soul level astrology, we call the bottom of the chart the root, the earth. So your chart is like, in a past life, you were all about being in the mind and being all above the body, whatever. And then this life is like, let's bring it home, down into the body with the Taurus and Chiron. And not only that, the thing about metamorphic chart is, like, whatever you were doing in the past life, you're called to do the exact opposite of this in this life. And Chiron, being the healer, is like nothing else is going to work. This is like a huge, big driver for you. Nothing other than embodying your full healer in this life is going to work. And it was also interesting to me that your Mars is in Cancer at the out breath. And that particular degree talks about portals, opening portals inside of the home. So your particular mission is to literally open portals in people's lives and in yours, and bring it down to earth, down to this life. And the metamorphic chart is like the caterpillar pillar. Like you start somewhere and then you end up being a completely different version of yourself at the end. And for me, that's coming down into the vibrational healing, to the to the inner child, to the crystals. And for you, it feels like it's the call of the healing through portals of the physical. Does that ring true to you?
Yeah, totally. People have said that to me before. You're just like a portal opener.
Yeah.
You open people into new portals and new realities, like new experiences, new ways of being. Yeah.
Yeah. And people aren't always open to that, is my experience. That piece about making the unconscious conscious isn't always comfortable. But it sounds to me also you're offering this beautifully fun way of doing it. Like, what if you could simply bring a good type of harmony into your life, and that ends up being the thing that opens portals in you for different ways of healing. So what is a powerhouse, and what does it have to do with manifesting miracles and magic?
So, well, while I was in India, I love how the thread all unfolds. But while I was in India, I was given a spiritual name, which was Parashakti, and I thought that this is so fun because I've been using that name, like Parashakti, for my profiles and stuff for a long time now. And when I decided that I wanted to rename our Feng Shui program, I took ages to kind of come up with a new name for it. Like I was just like, I had all these people helping me. And this guy sent me a big page of like 30 example names. And I was working with this lady, and we both were like, she was like, Patricia, I'm going to come up with it, or you will, and we'll just get it. Someday it'll just pop. And I remember standing up one day and walking towards her and being like, powerhouse. And I think this is something to do with my Uranus, that like basically I get these like bolts of inspiration. It's just like, it's not like la la la, all these ideas. It's like a one moment, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's it. So I got this bolt of inspiration, like powerhouse, because for me, this is what it's about. It's about inspiring and creating these powerhouses or these lighthouses. Like, so when a woman in my community steps into Powerhouse, our program, it's about them becoming the powerhouse of their life, of their home, and then they become the light. And that's that ripple effect that I've just seen over and over, that it's just, yeah. And that's really what it is. It's just like a powerhouse is something of great energy and charge. And I feel like when we do powerhouse or we do feng shui, we're like tapping into that source energy and charging it up. And that's
I
it.
love that you just got like a bolt of light coming from your window. Just
I know the sun is just shining in,
shining down on you. So, manifesting, what is it for you? How do you do it? And what does it have to do with feng shui?
So manifesting for me is, and this has actually changed a lot more recently, it's resonance. Like for me, it's about resonance. And what I see with this is that as we change, like it's depending on like our own energy, our own frequency, and also the frequency of our homes. So, I can have clients, and this is, going back to every house has its own certain personality type, it has its own energy. Some houses are inherently great for money, some houses are inherently great for people. All of them can be balanced and harmonized to be great for all things. But those ones that say are inherently good for money or inherently bad for people means that no matter what like health things that you do for your health, if your house is bad for health and unbalanced, you're going to have this like tug of war. So for me, when it comes to manifesting and having a bigger vision for your life, the foundation of that is having your home in alignment. And when your home is in alignment, it really makes a huge difference in that type of manifesting. So we just hear it all the time that like women are like, I'm just living my vision board. Everything on my vision board has come true, all the things, because they've changed not only their own energy and vibration, but they've changed it of their home. And then it opens up that portal.
Yeah. I went into this a couple years ago, especially during the pandemic in a huge way. The Marie Kondoing of things.
Oh, yeah.
As like going into every deep hole and getting things out. And then somehow you end up getting things again in that, getting accumulated in different areas. What are your thoughts on that? Like once you feng shui a house, are you done, or are you supposed to continuously be doing things? How does that work exactly?
So, like, first of all, I love Marie Kondo's work. I think she's absolutely amazing and really, really helped people become more conscious of the stuff that they have in their homes. Now, when I used to watch bits of the show, I'd be like, oh my God, there's just so much more potential. And what about that room and this and that? And I would see so much more, because inherently, if a house is out of balance, it's going to in specific, what I see is also in very specific areas where it's like not harmonious or not happy energetically, it's just going to attract that low vibrational clutter back again. So it's like we have to inherently change the vibration of the house, not the clutter. Releasing the clutter is just like going on what do you call it, a big flash diet. You go in like, I'm going to do it a massive like quick fast diet, cabbage soup diet or whatever. You lose all the weight and then it inherently comes back again because it hasn't changed the energy of the house essentially. But when you become, and this is going back to the making the unconscious conscious, that one of the practices of the work of decluttering and of letting go is about like making your home more about a vision board for your future as opposed to a shrine to your past. And if people do start getting better at letting go of things, it does create momentum and it does make you feel good. Is it going to last forever? I don't know. I personally don't fold all my knickers like little square things, and I'm not a very I'm not the tidiest person in the world, but I do have a feng shui house. And I think what happens is you become from my experience with my clients and for myself, is you become more conscientious about what you bring into your house. You become more conscientious about what every area represents in your house. So then you're less likely to have that kind of clutter. And if you do, it's a little bit of like, oh, that I've changed it. Something's feeling a bit stuck. You wander around, you're like, okay, I haven't cleared that part or this part. And, I have it with my clients, they're like, oh, so the kids are, what's going on with the kids? They're fighting a bit again. What's going on? And then I'm like, go back, check your family area, check you've got your remedies in, check what's there. And we had like one lady, so funny. She had this mirror that she just happened to like take it down to move it somewhere else. And she didn't kind of look at what the mirror was actually reflecting. So mirrors duplicate things. And it was duplicating one of those kind of sarcastic remarks saying, never mind the dogs, it's the kids. So when I was just like, go around and check your house. And then it basically amplified what the kids were doing. She's like, oh my God, the sign and the mirror got kicked out the next day. Because like, not into those kind of sarky kind of remark things anyways. But she literally saw it happening, was like, what's going on? It's so unusual. Okay.
That is so interesting. Okay, so I'm going to read the second quote because, again, this just came into my inbox today as I was
Of course.
supposed to meet you. And I think it speaks to what we're talking about. It says, when you look out into the environment that surrounds you and you feel appreciation for what you see, you tune yourself to the frequencies of the best of all that you are. And then the best of all that is all that you will see. That's how you manage your point of attraction. And this is a quote from Abraham Hicks, Esther, who channels the being Abraham. So I feel like all of what we're talking about is sort of speaking to this. It's almost like once you change your environment, in this case, your environment being your home, you're going to wake up to that every day.
Yeah.
And some subconscious part of you is going to see that. But it also seems to me like what this quote is speaking to is there needs to be almost an attitude or an intention to also see and appreciate it. It's like, like this part, like I just did it feels good. And that part, it feels good. And even if you don't know Feng Shui or if you've never done it, like, are there certain parts of your home that you can wake up to and be like, like that feels so good? What do you feel about that?
I absolutely love that. And what I say to my members, because people will come into our program and be like, but like my kitchen is really old, or my carpets need to be changed, or the door isn't right, or, and we're finding faults with their house. And I'm like, you don't want to find faults with your house because, first of all, you have a home. Like, this is the first thing, like, you have a home. And if you've spent so much time giving out about it and complaining about it, it's feeling that, like, because we know it's just all energy. So I always encourage people to get into this space of appreciation, to like build that connection and be appreciative, like, oh my God, I have a home. And then start to get into the energy of excitement around, okay, if you were to upgrade your kitchen, like, go look at new kitchens, get the picture of what the new kitchen is going to be, like, appreciate that you have a kitchen right now and put the picture up in the cupboard and be like, oh, like, let's see what'll happen with this new kitchen, or get the piece of the carpet that you want to change, and I always say to people to start small in their home as well, because they think that, and often when they're people listening, they're like, oh my God, I have to do the whole house. And I'm like, no, like, start in a space, start in a room. Like, for me, as we were just talking about, you wake up, what about in your bedroom? Talk about like your linen or your pillow, or what's the first thing that touches the ground when your feet touch the ground? Does it feel soft? Does it feel nice? What are the little nuances that you can do around the space that makes it feel good? Like, when it comes to Feng Shui, every part of your home represents a different part of your life. But I like to say to people also, look at the function of the room. So, at the very beginning, you said, like, tell me about your story. And I talked about like Feng Shui in my bedroom. And at the time I moved into that bedroom, that my sister had lived there for 9 years previously in that apartment, and she'd been single for the whole time. So, I often say to clients, I'm like, well, what's the history? What's gone on in the place before you move in? And, track record for relationships was zero, like none. So, and I'm moving in wanting to create space for love. So I decided to set myself up for it. So she didn't have it set up like that. I brought in all my Feng Shui wisdom. You walk in the front into the bedroom. I had a nice double bed. I had 2 bedside tables. I got new quilts, new linen. I made it a sanctuary for rest, romance, and relaxation, and created that environment that was ready for what I wanted to call in.
Yeah. I like that. Rest, romance, relaxation. That's a cool. All right.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
I just want to mention what we're talking about now, that piece about appreciation and just really tuning into what feels good, and then inviting in what would even feel better is also, it speaks to our bodies, like how you feel when you look in the mirror, when you're taking a shower. That negative talk is going to, leave a mark.
And you talked about, sorry, the art, you know, you were saying about the subconscious kind of attracts things like, and one of the biggest things that I see around people's homes specifically is, you know, artwork and the impact of art on that subconscious manifestation. You know, does the painting in your living room just make you feel so happy and vibrant? Like, what does it mirror? What, or is it just like something you bought? You're like, oh, that matches the color of the room, or somebody gave it to me, I don't even like it, you know, because it's all impacting you, whether you like it or not. So you may as well have something. I prefer people to have blank walls and have things on their walls that don't make them feel good or don't like spark that joy, as Marie Kondo talks about. But when there's so much, and I've seen it, oh my God, so many times with my clients, the artwork, you know, we experienced it ourselves in our own house when I had a new painting in my bedroom, and we just renovated our master bedroom. I got this beautiful picture that reminded me of our first date, and she's wearing this beautiful red coat and it looks like a cityscape. So picture is beautiful, hang it up on the wall. A couple of weeks later, a friend comes over and she's like, look at that, there's Marley. And I was like, what? So in between buying the painting and hanging it in our bedroom, I'd ended up adopting a dog. When you look at the picture more closely, the woman has a little dog on her lead, a little black dog with a curly tail, identical to the dog on the picture. So I hadn't wanted a dog. I hadn't been yearning for one. This, and the neighbors just happened to rescue it. It was like a, you know, whole synchronistic event, but it was on the walls.
Oh my God, yes. Well, something similar happened to me. I had these little teacups with a black and white cat on them, and this is like 10 years ago. And then 5 years ago, we decided to adopt a cat, and my cat Marmy, who's sleeping right now, she's a black and white cat. But if you look at the picture, it's the same exact facial features, and is uncanny. So you mentioned something I want to go back to briefly, which is you mentioned sleeping in your sister's room and feeling the energy of that. What would you say about so being mindful of what happened there before is what you talked about, but I'm curious about the visitors, people come in and out of your house. Are there any Feng Shui protocols to do when someone visits you and they leave, or you have a big party, let's say? And how does that affect the energy of the room, and what are some things to pay attention to with that?
So temporary visitors can obviously everybody brings energy with them, and they are energy their own way. And for me, I think the most useful thing for temporary visitors, or for even visitors, or that is just having a regular like space clearing practice in your home, so that you can either use sage or Palo Santo or some incense or some beautiful spray to just like clear the room. And you'll notice it before and after people come to do it. But most of the time for me, it's more about the actual energy of the house itself, as opposed to the people coming in and going, because the people will be, you know, just like the quote that you shared, anyone who comes in will be blessed by that positive energy, you know, that comes in. They're going to feel good, feel relaxed, and possibly not, you know, leave anything with them. We just ask them to bring their stuff with them as well.
Take them with you as you.
Yes.
Yeah. So Patricia, this has been so educational. I feel like I need to sit with some of the things you've told us. I'm curious, as someone, I'm sure you're going through your own evolution as you help people. What are you learning right now, and what's next for you?
So the last year and so has been actually about a year has been quite a big transition time for me. My dad passed away, and he would have been my best friend in the whole world, and my kind of like the embodiment of just love. And that has been a huge process to move through and really connect with the loving consciousness of the universe and God and spirit, and his energy has really helped me. I ended up supporting him as a death doula and supporting my whole family. It was an absolutely beautiful gift, and it's led me onto a path of evolving from Feng Shui into the energy of more aligning our own personal energy and supporting people in that next level. It's like, now your home is prepared, let's move to the next level, because that's really what I've been doing. And with a big transition like that in your whole family structure, like everything changed, and everything changed in me as well. So I've been really moving on, releasing, letting go, changing, stepping up into a much higher vibration and energetic state, and supporting people with that. So that's what I've been really moving through. And that is not necessarily, I think this is where the spiritual path, the rubber meets the road, because it's not the easy part. This is the part where you're really focusing on looking on the shadow, the unconscious patterns you're seeing, where I have up until now been repeating or unconsciously doing things that are not for my highest good. And there's been a lot of releasing, clearing, change, and transformation, which has been beautiful, like absolutely the biggest gift ever. So that's what I've been working on. And I'm moving through a Saturn transit right now. So it's there's lots of amazing insights and really coming up for me to move through. And yeah, that's where I'm being brought now. Is I help people come in and create a portal with their home, and then if they want to move towards to the next level with that, that's kind of where it's been evolving, and it's been beautiful.
Wonderful. So I would love to know, how can people reach you? How can they find out more about your work? And I know you also offer people a chance to do this with your guidance through online courses. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, sure. So you can come and check out patricialohan.com. That's my website. It is where I have so many different Feng Shui resources, like a Feng Shui mini course. I've meditations. I also have like different, resources for money, for love, for relationships, all the kind of Feng Shui things that people need help with. And I do like regular new YouTube videos and podcasts. So yeah, but Patricia Lohan is where you'll find all the resources, and come join the mini course to learn more about the Feng Shui. And we'd love to support you in PowerHour. That's our signature program, where we create our customized reports for our community and support them to flourish and shine and transform their homes into magical portals.
Yeah. Beautiful. Well, this has been so nice and so fun for me. I see your like shining personality, and thank you so much for being who you are and doing what you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. I loved all the questions, and I hope that it's illuminated a new aspect for everyone who's listening.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Conversations with Healers. If this episode spoke to you in any way, please leave a review or comment, like or love it, and share it with others in your life. This is a true soul love project from my heart to yours. I really appreciate your help in spreading the word. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and check out other episodes to listen to some extraordinary healing stories and advice. Have a beautiful and wonderful day.